You got Vince and Tyler back.
Tools and Salvo. Kind of in that last video, you know, we're going on our saga of Glocks. We subtly introduced the 19X in a very quiet way, didn't we?
So I bought this with the full intention of it becoming my new carry gun. And it has replaced my third 17 as my nightstand gun, solely because of a lot of reasons.
But it's not your new carry gun now.
It is not my new carry gun.
We'll talk about that.
And Tyler, really you are a Glock armor.
Yep, I love Glocks.
So
it is no secret.
I definitely want to get your opinion on both, but why is one better than the other?
So to start off, we will eventually have a video in better definition up close. And after the whole kind of Glock series, by no means this is our last video on Glocks.
No.
Where I take these guns thoroughly apart and actually show you the differences between generation and generation. I think that'll be fun. Not a whole lot of videos like that on the internet. Everyone just kind of gives you a bumbled version of the difference, and that's about it.
Well, and also we want to take each one of these out and shoot steel with them, show you what they look like.
Yeah, 15 minutes of video is not enough for us. Yeah. Trust us. The 19X, though, is a pretty cool amalgamation of Glock. Right off the bat, I mean, tactical peanut butter, tastes delicious, looks cool. So what we have the dot connector in the 19X, which is interesting. So the Gen 5 trigger, because the firing pin safety is ramped on both sides, and you're going against a contraction spring versus a compression spring, the trigger pull's a little bit less to begin with. So instead of giving the normal minus connector, which drops 1.5 pounds off, the dot connector is actually a bit more aggressive. And realistically, when it's all said and done, a dot connector in a Gen 5 is 4.5 pounds. A minus connector in a Gen 4 is 4.5 pounds. It kind of equals out to about the same. So we have 1 pound lighter trigger pull than a stock Glock. Traditional Gen 4s and Gen 5s come out with about a 5.5 pound trigger pull out of the box. So we do have a lighter weight trigger pull. Maritime cups, which is interesting.
Yeah, tell me about the maritime cups, because we had a long conversation about that.
Yeah, we did actually off camera.
Yep.
So right off the bat, and it's hard to explain it. So in that detailed video, I'll show you what they look like and the difference. Most handguns have a problem firing after being submerged in water. And with Glock, their problem is that the striker channel can get hydrolocked. Water fills up that striker channel, so when you pull the trigger, the firing pin or striker doesn't do much. The maritime cups are firing pin cups. They literally clamp around the front of the striker assembly. They're what's sealed up in the cavity, and these have basically grooves on them that allow water to flow in and out. So they don't create a sealed cavity between the front cups and the rear striker assembly. So the maritime cups allow this gun to basically fire. You know, you can dip it in water, pull it out, and the gun will fire.
Torture test approved.
U.S. Marine Corps testing approved. Again, the whole point of the 19X is the MHS trials program.
Right.
And that kind of proves it. So you get the dot connector, we get the maritime cup, sorry. Glock night sights out of the box, which is neat.
I am a fan of factory Glock night sights. I love Ameriglows and Trichicons on my Glocks.
I love the plastic sights. They shave the price point off, and you get to put whatever the hell you want on.
Well, and that is one thing that people need to understand. Glock factory sights, they priced it at that point so that you would change them.
Yeah.
The night sights that they put on them are perfectly good, so that you don't have to change them, but you are paying for them.
Yeah, I put Ameriglow bolts on every gun I own, so why would I spend more when I'm going to swap them anyway? The 19X is a little different. I bought it because of the MHS package, so I keep these sights on it. The U.S. Army wanted a lanyard loop, so right off the bat, lanyard loop. That's a little weird thing. The front strap, they wanted the magazines to sit completely flush with the grip. That's the interesting part. Gen 5 mags, traditional Gen 5 mags, will not work in the 19X. The base plate of Gen 5 stick out more. basically interfere with that front strap.
Right. So in your 45, your Glock model 45, they'll fit in your 19X. So when people say, well, why buy a 19X when you could get a 45? Well,
it's cooler.
It is way cooler.
Yeah.
It's tapped with peanut butter. But, you know, your Gen 5 mags will fit in your 45.
Yep. A lot of the argument goes, and with the 45 as well, well, they're not Gen 5s. They're not Gen 5s. The gun doesn't say Gen 5.
It's a Gen 4.5.
I don't think what people understand, Gen 5 applies to that iteration. So, like, the 19, good example. It's been out since Gen 1.
Yeah.
So it's Gen 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 19. The 19X, the Glock 45, only exists as Gen 5 guns.
Yep.
There's no such thing as a Gen 1 19X.
Right.
So when you buy a 19X, they don't say Gen anything. The 19X is a Gen 5 from day one.
It's the same thing as a 43X or a 48.
Yeah, they're not Gen anything. In fact, the 43 starts a lot of the Gen 5 features, like the ramp firing pin safety and everything. So the difference between a Gen 5 19 and a 19X is pretty negligible, really. You get the ambidextrous slide stop, slide release. You get essentially the ramp firing pin safety. You get the compression springs versus the old extraction springs. Overall, is a bit of a better setup. Wouldn't you agree?
I feel like it is a better setup. I feel like it, to me, shoots better. Now, I want to know your thoughts on Austrian Glock 19Xs versus American.
None.
Other than a little bit of color difference, because I have noticed that.
I've seen color differences, but I've seen really light USAs. I've seen really light Austrians. I've seen really dark USAs.
That's very true. Which, this one is an Austrian model?
Yeah, mine is too. I bought a 19X. It's not here with me today. I bought a 19X the first month it was available.
And I've held it up against 3 different ones. An Austrian that is slightly different color-wise. And then 2 different Americans that were slightly different color-wise.
I think it's just the PVD talking.
I really think that it is. I really think that it is.
I mean, Glock is a weird company. Glock is kind of known for not only making their guns, but they make their own tooling. They make their own programming for the CNC machines. You know, if we talk about USA versus Italian-made Berettas, there's a well-known difference between the two.
Absolutely.
There's not really one with Glocks. You get a US-made Glock versus an Austrian-made. Number one, most of the parts are made in Austria. Let's not glimpse this over. Most of the parts are still made in Austria. The guns, the final assembly, some of the parts are still made in the States. But the tooling, the machinery, the training, all the individuals have been properly trained and made by Glock.
Mm-hmm.
I have no reason to believe from what I've seen that US-made Glocks are really worse.
I agree. In my experience, there is no difference in the reliability, how they cycle, anything like that.
Exactly.
It's more, do you want your gun to say Austria? Do you want your gun to say
USA?
US? I mean, Smyrna, Georgia versus, Austria. But to me, it is, I want it to say Glock.
Yeah. Part of this video, I have not used this term right. Expansion versus compression springs. And I've kind of screwed that up twice now. Basically...
I didn't notice that, but okay.
Gen 4s use compression-based springs. Gen 5s use expansion-based springs. Big difference. You wouldn't know if you haven't seen it. Again, we'll have a proper video. I realized I screwed that up earlier. It's such a small difference to say that you don't catch yourself until later down the line.
Well, and I want to do a video next on Gen 4s versus Gen 5s and why the Gen 4s should only still be bought for like a select group of guys that have hands like this.
Gen 5s are better mechanically. And we'll have a full video referencing why that is. And other than that, they're both good.
Absolutely.
But the Gen 5 is a better handgun.
Gen 4 was better than Gen 3. I mean...
Yeah, other than the minor recall that happened when the Force first came out, which every manufacturer has issues.
Yes, absolutely.
If we're talking about the way these guns are built, Gen 5s have a mechanical redesign that makes the guns last longer without a parts breakage. The Gen 4s have, and again, we'll go into real detail on this, the trigger housing can wear through by the trigger spring itself. They get rid of this in the Gen 5 entirely.
I really do also, like, outside of the mechanics, I like the Gen 5's barrels better.
They get rid of the polygonal rifling, they go to the marksman barrel. It's a better rifling for more commercial shooters.
And also, like, you'll really, like, for the everyday guy, even for me.
You'll notice a difference.
And I do shoot a lot. But if you put it in a ransom rest, you're going to notice a difference as well. So,
walk into a lead sled, see what happens.
Yep. Anyways, guys, this is Vincent Tyler with Tools of Salvo.
Thanks for watching. If you cannot tell by now, we love Glocks.
That is the absolute truth.
And I'm a Beretta fanboy.
And I'm not.
You've been watching Tools of Salvo.
Peace out.